Good morning, everybody. We pray all is well with you today. This is going to get me stuck in one position, but I'm doing this for my Periscope folks and those who've been asking for it. You got it. Greetings. Good morning. I see you all, but I won't be able to respond because, again, you're too far away. So, if you have your scriptures, we just thank God for you all. We're excited for what's happening today. I have a good idea on what I want to do this morning, so I want to share it with you in the midst of this. So if you have your scriptures, open up with me to the book of John, chapter 13. Again, I want to share this with you. We're still in the Lent season, an Easter season, so we're staying along that theme as the things that we're working with, things that we're preparing, and again, this is that time and that opportunity for you to experience what God is going to do in your life. Amen? So, John chapter 13, verse 21 says, when Jesus had said these things, he was troubled in spirit and testified and said, most assuredly I say to you, one of you will betray me. Then the disciples looked at one another, perplexed about what he spoke. Now there was leaning on Jesus' bosom one of his disciples whom Jesus loved. We know that was John. Simon Peter therefore motioned to him to ask who it was of whom he spoke. Then leaning back on Jesus' breast, he said to him, Lord, who is it? Jesus answered, it is he to whom I shall give a piece of bread when I have dipped it. And having dipped the bread, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. Now after the piece of bread, Satan entered him. Then Jesus said to him, what you do quickly. But no one at the table knew for what reason he said this to him. For some thought because Judas had the money box that Jesus had said to him, buy those things we need for the feast, so that he should give something to the poor. So having received the piece of bread, Simon went out immediately, and it was night. So I wanted to share this with you today, something very simple. I still win. That is my thought today. I still win. I still win. When you look at this passage, you see something very immediate that goes on. This is the passage that happens after the Last Supper. They have just finished the meal. Christ has shown them how to conduct communion in the midst of this. And now he makes a statement in his actions that recognizes Judas and sends him on his way. But what he's doing here, more than importantly, is he's identifying his haters. You ever been in a situation where you know that there's somebody just has their ill intent for you? They have every plan to tear you down. They're trying to knock you off. You know they're trying to shut you out. You know they're trying to ruin you. But the problem is this. Everyone else has the idea too, except they want you to say, won't you get in their face? Won't you jump them? Won't you fight them? Won't you stop them? And you tell them, no, let them do what they do. And they don't understand why you're allowing them to do what they do. They don't understand why you won't respond to them. They don't understand why you won't say something to them. They don't understand. Do you hear what they said about you? Dude, did you hear what they were saying about you? Did you read their tweets? Did you read their Twitter page? Did you see what they said? And you're going to sit there and take that? And this is my favorite. They say, man, if it was me, I wouldn't put up with that. And you look at and say, well, thank God I'm not you.
Amen.
And the reason is because there's a purpose behind why you allow them to do what they're doing. And we're going to talk about it today because, see, truth be told, if you don't allow the haters to hate, you won't win. If you don't allow the haters to do what they do, you won't get into that place where you're supposed to get. If you don't allow those who are against you to come against you, how will you ever understand what it would take to walk out the pathway? If it wasn't for the Pharisees, Christ had never been on the cross. Mm-hmm. So I love the fact people say haters are going to hate. Yeah, but the question is, are you going to let them? Or are you going to focus on what they do to stop you, which is what they want to do? Wait a minute, what is that? Stop you. So if they can't stop you physically, if they can just do enough to draw your attention away from what you're supposed to be doing, guess what? They still got you. Mm-hmm. So Christ is showing us this here. And the one thing I heard God say was this. When God promised you the victory, nothing nor anyone can stop it. Notice I didn't say you. I said stop it. Because the victory that God gives you is not attached to you. It's assigned to you. So it's not you. See, this is where we miss it. Haters only come against us. Haters can't come against the purpose. Haters can't come against God's plan. Haters can't come against your victory. They can only come against you. So if they can get you off the road, they think that they've got you, they win, and therefore it's over with. But at the end of the day, what they don't realize is all they've done is slowed you down, but they didn't stop you. The only way they can stop you is if you say, I quit. The only way they can stop you is if you walk away from your purpose and destiny. The only way they can stop you is if you change your mind to the point that your mind is so changed that there's nothing else you want to do but focus on them. They can only stop you if you make your life more about them than God. So let a hater hate. Because if they hate, it's because they don't like the fact that you're actually doing something that they wish they could. Or that you have a smile on your face they've never had. And then they really hate because they realize that smile is not because of them. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the other shoe. Oh, you mean you happy? Who making you happy? And that's subliminal. Oh, I don't make you happy no more? I don't put that pep in your step no more? I don't have you singing to the sky anymore? No, now whose praises are you singing now? And you just shake your head and just waddle at them, God. Because they want to be the center of your world. They want to be the focus. They want to be that median in your life. They want to be the apple of your eye. But we know what happened about the apple, so I don't want nobody to be the apple of my eye, because there's a problem with apples.
That's good.
If there's fruit in my eye, we got a problem. Because then I can't see the fruit bearer, I can only see the fruit.
Yes.
I can't see who produced it, I can only see who thinks that they are it.
Come on now.
But if God gave it to me, it's a gift. And if it's there to destroy me, that's why I love the fact that haters hate. Because when they hate, I still win. I'm trying to give you a victory today. Even though they hating on you, you can look at them and say, oh, you did what you did, but I still win. You said what you said, but I still win. You tried me, but I still win. See, I got knocked down, but I'm back up.
That's right.
Because I still win. And here's the thing. There's some things that he shows here that shows us why we got to win and how to win. I remember one of the most greatest words I ever heard, and I think it was just the title. They said, thank God for Judas. I don't remember anything after that. I just remember the title. Because the title was enough. Because if you can thank God for Judas, you're going to win. So here's some things that happens here. First of all, in order to win, you must identify your Judas.
Come on now.
Wait a minute. In order for you to win, you must first identify your Judas. Now, let me clear this up for you. I am not talking about you going out broadcasting, putting out flyers and APB, trying to post them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, everything. No, I'm not telling you to do a YouTube video or a blog or a 6-second Vine. What I'm saying is there's something that's going to occur where you have to identify your Judas. Not for everyone else's benefit, but for yours. Okay, you identify Judas so you know who Judas is. Because one thing you have to realize about leadership, let me make it broader. One thing you have to realize about walking in the ministry of God is this. God set Adam, Eve, and the serpent.
That's right.
So God sent Christ 12 disciples, and one of them was Judas. Come on. So in the midst of your supporters, you got to have one that's going to hate you. I'm sorry, you may want to have a full circle that don't have your back, but in the midst of your disciples, you got to have one that's going to hate, because they just going to balance out. It's amazing how you got 12 around you, but it only takes one to give you balance. Y'all ain't y'all not hearing me. You got 11 good on your support side, but you only need one on the negative side. That one makes up for the other 9. So you got to have a Judas to walk you out, to give you that journey, to give you that encouragement, to move you to that place of destiny, because without them, you're still walking around thinking you're all that. But Judas will say, no, you ain't. And they say it with the intent of hate. So in order to win, you must identify your Judas. Look at the verse 26 says, Jesus answered, it is he to whom I shall give a piece of bread. Let me back up some. 25 says, then leaning back to Jesus' breast, John said to him, Lord, who is it? Jesus answered, it is he to whom I shall give a piece of bread when I have dipped it. And having dipped the bread, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. So there are two things that happens in this little encouragement right here. First, Jesus reveals who the betrayer is. Jesus reveals to John who the betrayer is. And then he informs the betrayer that he knows he is. Two things happen. He said to John, that's the betrayer. But then he says to the betrayer, I know who you are. Uh-oh. So you got to be in that position to know who they are. But be careful. You can't tell everybody who Judas is. He didn't tell Peter. Peter likes to cut people. He didn't tell John. John's a stoner. He didn't tell the other disciples. He didn't tell Matthew, Martin. He told John, because John was the one that he loved. That was his beloved brethren. That was the one he trusted and confided in above and beyond. So he could tell John because he knows John wouldn't move unless he said so. See, you got to understand, you got to have that one person around you that won't move unless you say so. You're not controlling them. You're not in charge of them. They just trust you enough that you can call them beloved. If you don't have a beloved and a Judas, where are you? You got to have one that is beloved. You got to have a Judas as well, because beloved is on your right side. The Judas is on your left. Why? Because right is favor, left is work. Judas going to make you work. But John is going to give you favor. Oh, y'all not hearing me. Judas is going to make you work, but John is going to show you favor, because God sends John to keep you going when Judas trying to stop you. Y'all with me? So in order to win, you must identify Judas. So again, there was a purpose for Jesus doing what he did, doing this to Judas. It was to both free Judas while preparing him to fulfill his destiny. You got to realize Judas was a part of the greater design. Judas didn't just pop up. Judas was a part of the greater design. There had to be someone there that was influenced by the word of God and the plan of God to do what God wanted to do. So Judas was a part of the greater plan. Without him, you miss it. Without him, there's no destiny. Without him, you limit your fulfillment of the purpose, and then you have to do another way, and you don't learn nothing from it. Because if everything is easy going, what do you learn from it? Nothing. Nothing. So again, John, the beloved disciple, had come to Jesus privately. This is why I know he's beloved. He came to him privately. He didn't sit at the table and say, hey, Jay, who the hater? No, he sat because they had rooms in there where he could sit on the sofa, on the couch, and sat there as the others were mingling and conversing amongst themselves. He sat there quietly to Jesus and pulled up on him and said, so who's the one who's going to betray you? It's a private conversation. If you've ever been in leadership, you know what it means. You pull that person aside, and my brother laughs at me because I always look at him, I say car conversation. Because a car conversation means we know what's going on in there, but we're not going to say a word around other people because the car don't talk. Y'all ain't hear me. The car don't talk. Unless you got your phone plugged into your car, the car don't talk. So you can get in the car and say a lot of things you'll never say publicly. Now that doesn't mean we're talking about you folks much. Doesn't mean that we're talking about you often. It just see, some of y'all laughing, the others like that's not funny. Some of them got to look like, oh, you talk about me. Oh, okay. Well, you talk about me. Just like we don't know you talk about. There's a lot of people that got stitches out there because they snitching on you. They call me up like CNN. Oh, this folks said this. I'm like, man, they ain't saying nothing about me. I know them. They're crazy. Crazy don't talk. Crazy talks to themselves. Crazy don't talk to other people. Crazy talk to themselves. Normal people talk to other people. But see, Normal people talk to other people. They talk about you. Crazy people talk to themselves. So if you just happen to be around for their conversation, you may hear some things, but none of it's about their leadership. So the crazy one, see, that's why I know all y'all crazy, because y'all won't talk about me. You'll just talk to yourselves. Amen?
Amen.
All of them that said amen is lying. The other one that didn't speak up was like, I'm not crazy. I'm not agreeing with that. Oh, you're crazy? But the fact that you talk to yourself about, I'm not agreeing with that, yeah, there it is. You know you talk to yourself in the shower, you crazy. If you're talking to somebody and you're not on nobody's phone and nobody's in the room but you crazy. Don't say it's God, don't lie. The Lord be like, hey, they weren't talking to me. They was talking to somebody in that corner, and I don't know what it was, but it had a horn and two furry hairs. I don't know what it was. And it was talking back. Y'all know y'all got them people in your room. But again, the thing about it is it's about understanding that you have to identify Judas, but make sure it's to somebody that you trust. That, I mean, more than trust. I mean, you can confide in and they will go to their grave with the information. Why? Because that person is the only one that could ever know who's going to hate on you and realize you understand the hate. You understand the hate. So watch this. Tradition tells us that a host at a feast in that time, whose roll here was filled by Jesus, would dip into a common bowl and pull out a very tasty bit and pass it to a guest as a special mark of friendship. So what they would do is after the meal, they would have these different bowls with different things in them. And the host would dip in and take some bread and dip into it and hand it to the one in there that they would give great honor to. In other words, they were feeding them. Just like he was washing the feet, he was feeding them, which was symbolic of great honor to that person, because when the host serves the guest, when the host serves the guest, it shows honor. So in a way that Christ was saying this to John, he said, the one in whom I dip the bread and give to is the one that shall betray me. So what he has done here is in the midst of showing them the hater, he gave him great honor. In the midst of showing him that he's the hater, he honored him for his hate. Because he says to him, and the thing is, Judas at that moment had not realized it. The only one understood that was going on at that very moment was John. So he dips the bread and he hands it to Judas, who is of great honor. He doesn't say a word to him. He doesn't do anything. He just hands it to him because he wanted to honor the hater. Let me tell you something. There's nothing wrong with honoring a hater, because the one that's hating has an assignment on their life just like you do. So when you give them the honor, you must realize the reason you're honoring them is because God called them to hate on you so that you can get where you got to go. So you got to give them glory and thank them for hating. Oh, see, y'all thought that was an accident that you went through all that hell? You thought that was an accident that you got delayed and denied and derailed and you was off the road to destiny for? You thought it was accidental? You thought they just try to stop you because they don't like you? Man, the closest people to you will hate on you the most. Your own blood will hate on you. Let me stop. Let me not go in there. So the thing about it was, this was not only honor, it was also grace. Because grace was, I'm going to reveal who you are, but I'm not going to tell everybody. Because you know he was in a room of people that had no problem taking that boy outside. And if he stood up and said, hey, listen, I just want to tell y'all, the one that's going to hate me is right here, right over there. Man, that boy wouldn't even make it to the door. Y'all know, because y'all would have been like, if I sat there and said, oh, the hater just walked in the room, y'all be pulling out knives and guns and pistols. Y'all know y'all got them. I seen them. I seen the last time somebody tried to hate on me. Y'all was good about to do a gospel drive-by. What you hiding your face for? You Tupac of the church. We know what you do. You be the first one putting up gospel gang signs. Jesus? Be going after folks. I'll be like, Lord have mercy. You know, y'all got Pam in the back seat with the super soaker with the oil in it. I'm going to spray him. Y'all watch out. I'm going to spray him. Load me up. She won't get you the felony. Now, the other one over here, she might cut the knees off. But you always got one or two of them. So what I'm saying is that, you know, Jesus knew who he was around. See, when you identify a hater, you know who you're around. You got to make sure that you don't mess them up. So, watch this. Jesus did for Judas what he didn't do for the others. So I told you he gave him honor, right? Mm-hmm. But he did something else. He did for Judas what he didn't do for anyone else. He personally gave him communion. Oh, because watch this. Jesus took the bread and dipped it.
Yes, he did.
And handed it to Judas. It's not communion saying, this is my body which was broken for you. Eat this in remembrance of me. And then he gives the cup and says, this is my cup which shed the blood of the covenant for you. Drink this in remembrance of me. He took the bread and dipped it in the cup and handed it. And said, instead of you doing it in two different stages, I'm going to give it to you in one failed moment so that you can understand what communion is looking like. He shared communion and taught them communion at the table, but he had communion with Judas. You got to understand that God will put you in a position to commune with your Judas because Judas still got an assignment.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So if you can't break bread with your Judas, then you don't have a Judas. Oh, my God.
Ouch.
And this communion was grace. Because Jesus understood there was a plan on his life. See, you know, there's a song out right now that's very popular. It says, you thought I was worth saving.
Yeah, yeah.
So you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping. So you came and cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for. So you sacrificed your life so I can be free. The only way he could have done that for us is that he first had to do it for Judas.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Judas, he thought of Judas and said, Judas said, you thought I was to die for, and my 30 pieces of silver is what I had to pay for a price that all would have to suffer through. So that I can be free and I can be whole. And I can tell everyone I know. So we couldn't even sing the songs of praises if it wasn't for Judas. And Judas wouldn't have had the opportunity if it wasn't for the grace of Christ who communed with him first. Good God Almighty. So he said this to him. That's why we win. We win because first of all, Christ knew who Judas was. We win because he knew who his Judas was. And not just that, he knew the plan. So he said, there's no reason for me to stop him. I gotta, see, you know the hardest thing about walking in the will of God is allowing your haters to hate. You want them to just stop and be quiet. But if not, if you don't have to hate, you won't stay sharp on your feet. Let them hate. Tell somebody, let them hate.
Let them hate.
So the thing about it was, Christ could have saved himself by identifying Judas to the masses. But instead, he only revealed him to the one that he beloved. He saved his betrayer so that his betrayer could finish what he must do. How many of you ever had the will or the wherewithal to protect your Judas, even when you know your Judas is your downfall?
Wow.
Oh, I'm going to get deep in you for this time. So Judas, watch this, Jesus, aware of his destiny and knowing that it could not happen without someone betraying him, he changed the process. He turned the tables on the enemy. Now, please, let me help you out with this, because I don't want nobody to be confused about this. Satan was an angel. Am I right?
He was.
So Satan still has to get permission to do anything.
That's right.
Okay? So if you think that Satan wasn't sent on assignment, you confused. If you don't believe me, go back to the story of Job. That'll tell you. So Christ turned the plan. He could have just let all this come out and be exposed at that moment. He said, nope, I'm just going to reveal it right here. He saved him. He turned the table. So watch this. Instead of waiting for the betrayer to come as a surprise, Jesus gave Judas permission. Oh, God from Zion. I'm now down. See, y'all thought I had 1 point. No, let me get to my next one. In order to win, you must give Judas permission. In order to win, you must give your betrayer permission. Right. In order to win, you got to give the hater permission. See. Watch this. Verse 27 says, now after the piece of bread, Satan entered Judas. Mm-hmm. Then Jesus said to him, what you do quickly. Mm-hmm. He gave him permission. Because, see, first you have to realize this. Can I go deeper for a minute? Y'all all right? Jesus communed with Judas. Now, many of the theologians will look at it and say how so many would assume that this was a form of communion, but that is highly incorrect because it's just a level of honor that was given. I said, no, buddy, this was communion. Because what communion does is it draws you closer to God and reveals the negative. You can't have communion until you have repented of your sins. But in this very moment, Judas was the first person he ever had actual personal one-on-one communion with, the very first. And at that very moment, Judas surrendered and Satan appeared. Okay, let me tell you again. After he broke the bread, after he ate the bread, Judas surrendered. Satan appeared. It's literally because at that moment, Judas could have still changed his mind. Because he never thought he had any honor with Christ other than just walking amongst the 12. But in this moment, he just showed him honor by giving him the bread. And symbolism honor. And he could have easily said there, wait a minute. Judas, at that moment, it says, and Satan entered him. Because Satan was like, wait a minute. We have an assignment. You're about to change your mind. Let me move you out of the way. Let me be in charge. Because from that moment, it couldn't be Judas because Judas was struggling with his struggle. I said it. He was struggling with his struggle. Because he realized that he knew who Christ really was. And he was being convinced, but he still had an assignment. It was something he had to do. And at that very moment, Christ turned the tables on him. And watch this. Thank you, God. I really believe that the reason it went this way is because Christ didn't want Judas to betray him. Christ wanted Satan to. Because if it was, see, because we identify it as Judas, but if we read this passage, we read this again, it says, and Satan entered him. Wait a minute, is that possible? Let me go back to the time of Moses when Pharaoh freed them, and it says, and God hardened Pharaoh's heart. So God touched someone who didn't even believe in him to harden his heart to go after them, which pushed them to cross the Red Sea. Oh. Because if not, they would have just camped at the Red Sea and never go over. So God will change the hearts of the people to push you to a place where when you at the side of the water and can't swim, you still got to get over. That's right. So in this moment, where it could have easily gone another way, where Judas at that moment could have said, forgive me, and bowed down and fell on his feet, and fell down before him and said, forgive me. Satan said, before you change your mind, let me change you. And he got in the way. He stepped in front. And that's when Christ looked at Satan and said, whatever you do, do quickly. Then he said, you thought I was to die for. See, he all that song was saying is right here. He's saying to Judas, I see enough in you that I won't let you be at fault for what Satan has planned. See, that's why you can't be angry at the sinner, be angry at the sin. Because when you identify the sinner as the sin, then you miss it. Because sin can't sin. Sinners commit sin. Sin is just an act. So it can't act upon itself. It has to be something enacted by a person. So therefore, if you're looking at the sinner, and identifying it as a sin, okay, you can't. Until after they do it. I said this before. You can't call someone a convict until they've been convicted. You can't call someone a felony until they get a felon. You can't call someone a felon until you get a felony. You can't call someone a prisoner until they're imprisoned. You can't call someone an addict until they have an addiction. You understand? So it is not until after the action has been performed that you can identify him as such, but you're not identifying him as a sin. You identify him as what sin they committed. Oh, you're divorced because you got divorced. So what's the problem? So here, Christ changes it. Says, even though Judas will always know in history as the one that sold him out, in this moment, he had to tell the enemy to do what you have to do. He says, I give you permission. Even though the enemy was going to do it either way, he wanted him to know he knew. He says, I give you permission. Because I could have had you thrown out of here today. And all that would have done was cause Judas to be angry enough to go forth and do it out of spite. Mm-hmm. But he did it out of love. Because at that moment that he showed him honor, how can you ever hate or change or betray someone that just celebrated you? Oh, wait a minute, that happened to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe we need to call him and ask him. One minute they say, oh, he's the greatest in the world. The very next day, he's horrible. He's a tyrant. Because Satan switches like a light bulb. It's like they got the clapper or something. Clap on. Bishop's great. Clap off. Bishop horrible. So you have to realize that what he's doing here, he changed it because you got to give your enemy permission. Mm-hmm. You got to look them straight in the face and say, listen, I know what you're doing. It's all good. I still love you. So that even though they know that they're doing wrong, because if you give them permission, guess what? That guilt going to beat them up longer and greater than if they didn't know in the first place. Because it's easy to do something in the dark. But my God, if they know you know and they still do it, that's some hate there. That's the level of hate that will move you to the next dimension. Because when people say, and he knew. See, people like to be with you when you're a victim. But the victor is the one that got the victory before the battle even started. How? Because they looked at the enemy and said, I know you're going to betray me. Well, go and do it. Hurry up. I don't have all day. I got a destiny on my life. I got a win to take. I got a victory to embrace. And you taking entirely too long to hate on me. Could you please hurry up and finish what you got to so I can go on to the next hater? Judas, do what you must. Matter of fact, you don't have the 30 pieces of money? Here, take mine. Take my credit card. Do what you got to do. Use PayPal if you have to. But I need you to hurry up and do what you have to do because I got to get to Calvary so I can go on to heaven.
Yeah.
Let the enemy do what they got to do.
My Lord, my Lord, my Lord.
Let the haters hate. Stop giving them attention. Stop focusing on them. Send them a thank you card. Be like Seeley in the back of the truck. Everything you did to me.
Come on now.
I might be black. I might be ugly, but I was free. Because you hated on me for all these years. But look at you now. Miserable. You can't even cook your own food and wash your own clothes. But I'm going to be all right. Because that's what you do. They try to stop you when they don't realize they need you. I was watching a story of the story of a great painter. You remember the paintings they had in the 70s, the kids with the big eyes?
Yes.
And I watched it, and they literally, the wife was the painter, the artist, but the husband was taking the credit. So the husband forgot themselves. And the wife says, I want a divorce. He says, I'll give you a divorce, but you have to paint me 100 more paintings, and then I'll let you out the marriage. But she got saved. And she went to court for her name. And first of all, she went to court and filed for libel. They went up, the lawyers came up, and they came up with 600 pages of documents showing how she endorsed this thing over the years. The judge said, case dismissed. So she's sitting there. Those lawyers got up, they looked at the guy and said, thank you, and walked out. He said, where you going? Oh, we were here for the libel case, but they filed slander against you. And all the lawyers that were sitting there on his side are gone. So he had to defend himself. And the judge said the only way, watch this, my God, y'all look, the only way to show who the true painter is you got to paint.
Come on now.
And he gave them an hour to paint. And he sat there and fiddled, twiddled, and all this. And she just quietly is painting and drawing and doing what she's doing. And the whole time he's sitting there giving excuses. Because the thing about it is this. They can claim your victory, but they can't walk it out. They can tell you that they can say how you won, but they can't show it to you. See, let a hater want to be where you are. They want to be in your position. So when you step aside and say, go ahead and let them do what they got to do, when they realize it's not as easy as they thought it was, it's not like it's supposed to be, you just sit back on the sideline and say, do what you got to do. Matter of fact, be their biggest cheerleader and say, my God from Zion, that'll preach, black man, preach. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. We on the wrong street. I didn't mean that. Preach, black man, preach. I said it again. What is wrong with me? Do I have Tourette's? Oh, I meant it the second time because I'm not hating. I'm loving on them all. Because you got to give Judas time to do what Judas do. That's why he showed him the difference. Because what was happening in that very moment was this. He was saying, no, Judas is not painting the picture. Satan is. Judas is not the artist. Satan is. So Jesus, in the position of a judge, and said, before we go any further, we need to identify the true hater. So let us reveal it. So paint me a picture. And at the very moment he dipped the bread and handed it to him, the artist came out. And it wasn't Judas. And at that moment, the artist had to do what he had to do, because at that moment the judge said, now I give you permission to embrace your true identity. You have won the case. You are the hater. And you're not fired, you're hired. Now go do what you got to do. You got to give your hater permission. Let him know and tell him, I still love you after what you're doing. I still love you after the fact. You got to be like the video. The guy walks in his house. He's got the video on, walking down the hall. He says, oh, I'm about to expose my wife because she in there. I know she's sleeping around. And he walks in. He opens the door. He walks in, and they on the couch. He said, hey, listen, don't move. You good? He said, hey, bro, and it was his best friend. He said, y'all all right. Don't worry about it. I don't need excuses, nothing. Listen, I'm just here to let you know that I'm using this in the divorce. Don't worry. You good. You don't have to get up. Please keep going on my account. It's fine. Have fun. Enjoy yourself because it's over. As a matter of fact, and you can see it, he said, here's the key, and set it on the counter. He said, I'll get my stuff later on. Yeah, you know what I'm talking. And he said, bye-bye, baby, boo-boo.
Yes. That was something.
Have fun. And he walked out and headed straight to the attorney's office. You gotta let haters hate. They gonna do what they gonna do. Y'all know my hater. And I sat there and looked at him in my office and said, you gonna do it? What you waiting on? And they said, no, you gonna do it. You think I don't know? I'm not stupid. Because you can't keep your mouth shut. So just do it. Why? And I used to tell him, why are you still here? You will not win. And what happened is the same thing with Christ. They did what they did. They tried to crucify him, but guess what? After 3 days, they looked for us in the tomb. And we just was not there. And they heard from the landlord, he's not here, he has risen. And they still looking on the road to Bethany. They still at Calvary talking about like a Judas or a Sadducee or a Pharisee. Oh, did you see what he had done? And people looking at me. I don't know the person you're speaking of, but I only know the one that was resurrected. I don't know which one that died beforehand, but I'm only looking to see. Y'all got to understand, your post-resurrection life. You're living after the haters tried it. You're looking at an example of being. Wasn't Lazarus. I got up. I didn't need somebody to untie me. I got up. I didn't need somebody to loose me up. I got up. I went in that tomb myself, wrapped myself up. And God said, Judas, you do what you want to do. And I'm going to lay here long enough to hear what God got to say. And when he said, get up, I got up and moved like somebody. And when they looked for me where I was not there. Even the angel told him, why are you looking for him here? He's gone. Your blessing has time out. You looking for me on a weekend. I'm a weekday type of person. You missed me. And then they realized, because the angel said, you should have not done what you had done. Because all the blessings that I had for you went with them. Y'all ain't understanding. Because when you bring the blessings with you, the blessings go with. It wasn't the fact that I am blessed and highly favored. It was just the fact that I was there. You got to walk in the authority that God gives you and know that you aren't helping anybody, but your presence changes everything. And I communed with them. And let them be who they want to be. And still, people was like, do you understand what they say? Okay, and? Because here's the watch it. The Sadducees and the Pharisees had a lot to say. But Rome wasn't paying them no mind.
Exactly.
Because Rome said, I don't see what's wrong with him. If he's the king of the Jews, what's the problem? Now, he ain't the king of us. When you get to a point that they go up to a higher authority, and the higher authority has greater respect for you, you got to be the one to sit in that defendant seat and let the judge determine who's what. Let the judge determine who's what. Who's the chick on people court? You got to be like her. She said, I'm the last word in here. When God gives the last word, it don't matter who's defending or saying what they want against you. If they say case dismissed, case dismissed.
That's right. That's it.
And you can't go back and try it again. It's over. You can try it a different way, but you can't try that one again.
My God,
there is no appeal. That's why when you let Jesus, and people didn't understand, they said, are you really doing, are you running? Oh, I'm not running. I'm moving up like somebody to the east side in a deluxe apartment in the sky. Oh, I'm moving on up to Forest Hill and open the door and said, it finally got up here. The pie. I ain't gonna do all that. Okay? Because you have to realize that you are living in a better place when you let Judas do what he got to do. Because some of you are too god-awful stubborn to move on your own. You need a swift kick in the behind that was bought with 30 pieces of silver to move you like somebody, because you are so focused and committed on your situation, and you giving God excuses for something that don't need excuses.
Sound familiar, don't it?
shut up.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, look, did you see that run under the table? That was a big conviction there. Catch it, catch it, catch it.
My.
I felt that over here. My God. You didn't have to reveal him in such a public way. Are you not listening to what we're doing today? I mean, good God, you did a Peter moment right there. Yeah. You must have watched that show last week. I got big. Don't you play big nigga with me. What's going on in here? I done missed something. You the one that we ain't telling we running. We just gonna bring you with us. That one right there will snitch. Listen, I don't want to get hit no more. So I'm going to just tell you about 15 of them about to go. Right there. We be looking at him like Kevin Hart, like, Negro. All of a sudden, a white will come out of, brother, why are you leaving us for such a matter? What is wrong? But the thing about it is, this is that time. Because if you don't move when God says move, oh, he'll move you.
Oh, yes, he will.
Hey, I felt that over here. He'll move you.
Woo!
You sitting there looking like good times, James Evans and all them, sitting up there in misery. When God said, just because you on the 15th floor don't mean you high.
Say it, Bishop.
Those that live at a higher level live in lower places. You on the 15th floor of a high rise, it take you 15 floors to get down and avoid drugs, crime, the smell. But those who have moved up in God don't have but 2 floors in their house.
Come on now.
I'm trying to help somebody here.
Come on now.
I'm trying to help somebody
Come
here.
on.
And they up on the hill looking down.
That's right. That's right.
They said, I was in the valley too long. God moved me up. Stop being a valley dweller when God called you to live on the mountain.
My God, my God.
You've been in the valley long enough. So when you won't get out of the valley, he sends to Judas to move you. Because what Judas does is has you to crucify who you were so you can be who you should be. But you so holding on to your identity that you built up to. You don't understand the name that I've created. You don't understand the recognition of who I am. You don't understand my history. I don't even, oh yeah, when we get married, I'm going to split our names because I don't want to lose who. No. Give up who you were for what you shall become. When Jesus was on the cross, he was the carpenter. But when he got off, he was the Christ. Don't get it confused. All they killed was a man. But the Christ rose up from him. How do we know? Because when they pierced his side, what came out was within us. But when he got up, they couldn't find it because all you did was bury your body. But the Christ himself came up. So the thing is, Judas, none of this would have occurred if Judas had not done what he did. That's why you realize even when they crucify you, still win. Even when they tear you down and leave you abandoned, you still win. Even when you feel like you broke, busted, disgusted, and laying there like somebody called 911, you still win.
Yeah.
Because the victory is more than you being a victim. A victim is that moment that people can identify with, but victory is a life.
Yeah.
And when you live a victorious life, there's nothing anyone can say or do about it. You better embrace the best and give Judas permission. Y'all all right?
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, God.
But here's the problem with it. So you got to give Judas permission to betray you. And here's the funny thing. Watch this. You will win when your Judas can be identified but never recognized. You will win when your Judas can be identified but never recognized. Look at this. Verse 28 says, but no one at the table knew for what reason he said this to him.
Wow.
Oh, you just saw it. He said the verse before, now do what you must and do it quickly. But no one at the table understood what he was truly saying. And then I love how they give the explanation. It says, for some thought because Judas had the money box that Jesus had said to him, buy those things we need for the feast, or that he should give something to the poor. So because of his position in God, people never realized that what Christ was saying to him was to fulfill his assignment in heaven, not on earth. And they were looking from human eyes, and all they saw, well, he's a treasurer. So maybe he sent him to go pay something.
My God.
When what he really did was he bought something for 30 pieces. So here's the thing. Christ had just identified his betrayer, but no one could recognize him. If you are gifted in God, you can understand one thing. That you can identify your betrayer and people still will not recognize him. Why? Because the first thing they have is denial. I can't believe, I don't believe that, I don't see them doing that. No, they would never do that. No, not them. Not them, Pam. They would never do that to you. No. No, you can tell me anyone else. Not them. No. God, no, not them. Until it happens. And then they're still like, I'm sad you went through that, but I have a difficult time embracing that they did that. And you sit there like, do you not see the black of my eye? Do you not see the scars on my face? Oh, I did this by myself. Okay. I ran into the frying pan. Even though it was in the drawer underneath the stove, somehow, some way, I came in the kitchen and ran into it. That's what happened. They weren't there holding it. They weren't there swinging it. No, I actually went in and beat the pan up. That's what, okay. I did this to me. Because you have a difficult time believing that this person would never do such.
My God.
Can I help y'all? About to free y'all. Y'all watch this. If you have people that will never believe a hater will hate, they still won't believe them when they see them hating.
That's true. That's true.
If they can defend them if they can defend them after seeing evidence of the hate, they will defend them while they're hating. Oh my God, the police attacked them. Oh my God, the police shot them. They shouldn't have done that even though they were shooting first.
Right.
Oh my God, I'm the victim, holding the money bag from the bank I just stole it from. You did this to me. You forced me to put these drugs in my arm so I can OD. Because people will have that eternal mindset to believe that they just are not the victim of it. That means they're always a victim. We're still waiting for a 40 acre and a mule when they said we're giving you opportunities to have 400 acres and 4,000 mules. But we won't take it because we still waiting for our handout. And God said, give your hand up. I'm going to leave that alone. Because the thing about it is, he gave them, first of all, he gave them permission. But he gave them permission secretly. He gave them grace in that. But John knew who he was. But John didn't say anything out of obedience to Christ. But he recognized him. And the people at the table was like, well, but did he send Judas to do something? Here's the funny thing. They noticed that he said something to Judas and Judas moved. So they were that cognizant of Jesus to a point that they realized that Jesus had just given him an assignment. But they didn't know what it was. Because at that moment they were watching the behavior and the response. So you got to realize you can identify your Judas and the response could be what you want. And people will never realize it because it happened in that room. So if you want to win, identify your Judas. Give him permission. But give him a position that no one could recognize. Let it be in a manner that is so familiar to them that they assume that he's just simply doing for him what he's been doing all along. They say, oh, he sent them out there because, watch this, because he's dealing with the finances. So isn't it amazing that Judas bought him? So he was over the money box, stealing from the money box, and he gave up Christ for 30 pieces of silver. Money, finances. So that's why you realize, that's why you could never really identify Judas to the people, because the way that you identify Judas to the people is in a manner familiar of what he's always doing. It is common. It is expected. So they have a difficult time embracing Judas because they see Judas doing what he normally does and say, no, Judas wouldn't do that. Judas was holding the money and stealing from it. And they knew it. So they said, maybe he sent them out to buy something. Oh, yeah, he did. And he didn't go to Walmart. But he went with permission. And that's when you have to be in a place where people can see you give permission to Judas. I'm going to add that one on. Be in a place where people can see you give permission. Because when they can see you give permission, then they already know that when everything falls apart, they'll say, you let him do that. Yeah, I let him do it. Well, why'd you let him do it? Because he had to do what he had to do so I could do what I need to do. Yeah. That's why you still win. You still win because when people see that you know what was going to happen and yet you still allow it to happen, then it causes them to look at their lives differently and say, wait a minute, I've been fighting this too long. Why am I battling? Just let them do what they do. Matter of fact, watch this. God says this in Isaiah. If anyone does attack you, it will not be my doing. Whoever attacks you will surrender to you. See, it is I who created the blacksmith, who fans the coals in the flames, and forges a weapon fit for his work. And it is I who have created the destroyer to wreak havoc. No weapon formed against you will prosper, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servant of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me. Because Christ says this. God says this, no matter what, if I send them, you'll know it. If I didn't send them, it's not going to work anyway. Because he's the one that established the forger. So if he forged the weapon, he already told them, make it dull. Y'all ain't hearing me. Y'all ain't hearing me. He already told them to make it brittle. He already told them that they can break the flesh, but it can't break bone. He already told them that it can't pierce you, but it can cut you. He already told them, make it something that could harm, but not be harmful. Y'all, see, you got to realize that when God sends something, his assignment is on it. Therefore, it is there to change you, but not kill you. So Judas was there to change Christ, but not kill him, because he didn't kill Christ. He didn't kill Christ. He just sold him out. He was that dull sword, that brittle knife. He just had enough to do just to get it there. You got to understand, that's why paper cut hurts so much, because it doesn't touch anything. It just gets in the nerve. And I know y'all never do this. Get a paper cut, dip it in some lemon juice, and let me know how long you scream. You going to curse. Now, y'all listen, they say, I'm saved all my life. Okay, get a paper cut, dip it in some lemon juice, and record yourself. I guarantee you, Holy Father is not what's going to come out. Y'all going to say a whole lot of words that you ain't never said before, or you didn't say publicly, but you're going to say it that day. You will be in there done. Because when it is time for God to do what he's got to do in your life, you let it happen. Oh. Let me say it again. When you're about to do when God have you doing what you let it happen. You have to let it happen. Because if you keep trying to fight with God, see, that's the problem. We pray. We keep praying to God to remove Judas. And God keeps telling us, you asked me to change my plans. You asked me to change my assignment. I had Judas there for a reason. You want me to stop Judas. If I stop Judas, I can't stop you. You about to walk off a cliff. You want me to stop the person that's going to prevent you from walking off the cliff. Do you not realize in California, in those places where they have railings there for a reason? You driving up the road. Why is there a railing there? The railing is indicative that is a 1 mile drop if you go that way. So turn. What would you do if you're looking out into the sunlight and it's dark out and the railings aren't there with the fluorescent lights on? You're going to keep going. And what's going to happen is you're going down real fast. So when God puts those indicators in the way to protect you, let it happen. But Judas is close. Let Judas do it. You got to kiss Judas on the cheek and say, do what you do, baby. It could be your best friend. It could be your parents. It could be your spouse. It could be your coworker. It could be that person so close to you. You just tell them to do what you got to do and hurry up because you know it's coming. You know it's coming. But if you let it happen, because see, here's the thing. There's times where you just got to let it happen so you can get it out of the way and celebrate after the fact. Because freedom is this. Freedom is being able to let go of a situation in order for it to be resurrected the way God, oh God, who am I talking to? Freedom is the ability to let go of the situation and let it die the way it was. So in time, it will resurrect to what God wanted to be. Because when you give it time to resurrect, it will be better and stronger than it ever was before. But if you're just sitting there holding on because you don't want Judas to have win, Judas ain't winning. Judas can gloat. But Judas could never have the victory. Judas is that one that sits on the couch and yelling at the TV screen watching an NFL game. Judas is not on the sideline. Judas is not on the other side as a defender. Judas is watching the game. Judas is one yelling, you suck. But Judas is not across the line saying you suck. Judas doesn't have let me help you out. Judas doesn't have the ability to stop you. He just has the ability to distract you. Wow. And at the end of the day, the only thing Judas is going to do is get you where you need to go instead of you doing it on your own. Tell somebody I still win. After all I've been through, I still win. I've done it this way, and now I realize if I let Judas be Judas, I'm good. Because if I can let Judas be Judas, I'm going to win. If I let Judas to be Judas, I'm going to survive. If I let Judas to be Judas, I'm going to accomplish what I'm supposed to accomplish. But the first things first, I got to let Judas be Judas. And when he does, I can still win. Because give Judas permission. Give your haters permission. Stop fighting them. Embrace them. Because you'll mess their head up. When they say they're like, man, they don't even know I'm about to do them wrong. And somebody say, yes, they know. They just waiting on you to do it. And then invite them to dinner after the fact. So they can sit there and see your wounds. That's another day. Everybody standing on your feet. Listen, for those I'm passing you up, thank you for stopping through and spending time with us today. That's all I have for you. Listen, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and Bishop Truesdale. You can see me on my email, bishoptruesdale@hotmail.com. You can see me on Facebook. You can see us on YouTube. This will be on YouTube soon today. Again, I'll be back tomorrow through Friday, 11:30 a.m. I thank you all for coming through. I pray that it helped you. And again, remember, today is great because you're in it. God bless you all.